It varies a bit depending on where your soil's already at and what you're trying to... If you've got a concern with the acid mat, I'd be really focusing on getting some fish out there. In the order of probably... Well, the starting point's about 15 litres to the hectare, but as you're getting more biological activity, as you know the organisms are there, then all you're trying to do is feed them rather than the plant, and you can start reducing that back down to, you know, even as little as 5 litres or even less than that per hectare. But starting is around about 15 litres to the hectare, which is in the old measure about 6 litres to the acre. And in conjunction with that, I was going to say, in conjunction with that, once you've started to break down that acid mat there, then the next phase is to get some new growth happening and get the roots to go down through into the next layer. So kelp would be handy. The thing is with kelp, it tends not to... You've got to think again with the plant, it's going to go through phases of sap flow or sap movement and phases where it's not going to be. And if you're putting kelp on when you haven't got sap movement, it's probably better that you wait until you do know that you've got sap movement there again. Some of that's linked in too with the moon. Now I don't know how far your thinking goes, but the moon's important because the moon, as we all know, affects the tides. If it affects the tides, it's going to affect groundwater. If it affects groundwater, it's going to affect the uptake of nutrients and the transfer of nutrients in the plant, and therefore you're going to get better responses on the rising moon, a week or two before the full moon. You know, they're all little subtle considerations, but they all add to the total picture of where we're at. And it's one of those traditional practices that, you know, you talk to the Southern European farmers and they'll say, oh, we always plant by the moon, you know, that sort of stuff, you know. So, yeah.
Can you mix the fish and the kelp together? Or
yeah, you can. Yeah. And like we've done on the farm, when we do that, we, as a matter of course, usually, unless we're putting biology out there with it, in which case we don't do it, we'll always put a little bit of the superfine lime out there with it and make up our own liquid lime. Yeah. And that just gives it the calcium that it needs. And the amount that we put in is about 25 kilos to the hectare. So again, it's not a large quantity, it's just enough to stimulate the plant to be able to... See, calcium's important as far as the plant systems goes. It's a carrier for other nutrients in the plant as well. So if you don't have lime, or bite my tongue, if you don't have calcium there in the plant, it's not going to be able to move the boron and the copper and all the other nutrients that are in there, the micronutrients. It's not going to be able to move it properly. So that's why we feed the plant directly. It's a problem with your spray equipment generally if you don't have enough agitation or movement through it. And yeah, look, what we find is we need about 200 litres of water for a 25 kilo bag of the lime. Make sure you've got enough agitation in your spray equipment and it won't be a problem at all. Try not to use a boom as well, a field jet, just a single jet. And if you do get any material, it's not going to block. So yeah, all that sort of gear we've got, you know, to help people who aren't already set up for that.